Good evening. Welcome to Lebanon City Council, February 10th, 2026. Mr. Lady, please hold on. I'm going to mess this up. I look this way.
Mayor Messer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Here.
Mr. Sellers.
Here.
Mrs. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Here.
Mrs. Eggers.
Here.
Mr. Cope.
Here. Please join me for the invocation and the pledge.
If you don't mind bowing your heads for a moment. Gracious God, we thank you for this moment we can be together. Lord, I do ask you for guidance as we make decisions, especially under tense circumstances sometimes as we work through issues for the betterment of the city and our citizens. It's in your Son's holy name that I pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council could consider work session minutes December 2nd, 2025. Do I have a motion to adopt that?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cope.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Yes.
And then if council would consider meeting minutes from December 9th, 2025 and January 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion to adopt that?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Yes.
Mr. Cope.
Yes.
We have a public hearing tonight to amend various chapters of the codified ordinances and the official zoning code. Do I have a motion to open that public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Yes.
Mr. Cope.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Yes.
Mr. Bronca has a slideshow to start us off, and then we will. Oh,
Yep, Greg.
Greg has a slideshow.
Yes,
Very
Hello.
good. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. So this is a public hearing for various text amendments. There's both text amendments for the Code of Ordinances and for the zoning code. So for the Code of Ordinances, this is to update and incorporate the subdivision regulations into the official zoning code. We will also add language to the Code of Ordinances to require a local rental agent for out-of-town property owners. This came out of our housing study that was done a couple months ago. This was one of the #1 recommendation. And then updated fees based on staff time per application and peer community review. And then remove outdated sections of the Code of Ordinances related to planning and zoning. So that's that first packet that you see, a lot of strikeout language in that as we transfer over the subdivision regulations into the Code of Ordinance, or into the zoning code. So miscellaneous code amendments to streamline and clarify the process is also included. So for the subdivision regulations, the vast majority of this is incorporating those regulations into the zoning code. This will make it easier for the public and staff to read. A lot of times this gets buried into our Code of Ordinances, which are a little harder to find online. And our zoning ordinances are very easy to find in an easy to use PDF document. The major updates that we're proposing here is require new residential corner lots to be 40% wider than the minimum front yard width. Currently they already average out wider because they have 2 front yard setbacks, which technically makes them a little bit bigger. This just provides an exact number for staff to review preliminary plans on. And you can see on the upper example where this comes into play, where you don't have a little bit of regulation on this, you tend to get lots that look a little off-center and create future problems for property owners and for staff to administer. So you can see that one where that backyard looks like it's going right into the backyard of the other, where that can be adjusted and has been adjusted in the latest plan set to the one that you see on the right. Another thing that we get into is that rear lot lines tend to shrink along corners. And then staff is recommending they should be no less than 75% of the required minimum front lot width. So this will kind of get rid of that sort of triangle, and that would need to be 75% of that front lot width. So if that was a 100-foot wide lot, the rear lot line could be no less than 75 feet. And that, once again, avoids conflicts that you see. Say that person wanted a shed, drainage concerns, all kinds of things that run into conflict when neighbors aren't quite sure where their property lines are due to kind of strange-looking lots. So rental property, local agents. This would require that all owners of residential properties who do not reside with 30-mile radius of Lebanon must designate a local agent who is authorized by the owner to receive local notices, receive complaints, and ensure compliance. So this would be limited to 5 properties or above, so it wouldn't get every single one. So 5 properties or more would have to have a local agent. Where this has already been effective, and this was before our requirement, Cozy LLC has bought numerous Burrs properties. The most noticeable one is 121 North Broadway, next to the bank, where that was looking in rough shape, and we had property violations on that. If you can tell, they fixed that up quite a bit. They've also bought some on North Mechanic. They have a local realtor who acts as their agent, and that makes it really easy to reach out to her. She corresponds with the contractors and everything like that. So it's already effective through a voluntary basis on this one. This would just make it more mandatory.
Greg, one question.
Yep.
Forgive me. What do we do if there's, like, let's say you have an entity that has 50 homes or something like that, and we don't even know how to contact them other than some random P.O. box in Denver or Delaware or something? I mean, how do you guys get in touch with those people to basically say, hey, you need to be responsible here, your grass is 8 feet tall, and
Yeah.
you know, we're hearing the roar of a lion when we walk by. How do you plan on getting in touch with those people to try to rein them in, so to speak?
Typically due to billing and our use verifications, or that's for commercial, but through our billing department, they do have a contact address for that. It's not always just the individual who lives there. There's sometimes switchover periods where that needs to be into entities sort of thing. So we've been able to get to them. It's just the response rate is not always the quickest. So it's not a
Hence the
lack of
local agent.
yeah, I mean, it's rare that we truly cannot find somebody. It's just how quickly do they act. So we're a local agent, like the instance for the Burrs one, she lives in town or does real estate in town. So she's got a vested interest, and I think she's ready to get to see things look nice and, you know, is bought into the community.
Well, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
To have a nice community and be in a situation where we don't have the complaints, and you happen to live 2 doors down from a corporation in Delaware or wherever. I know Kristen and I were talking about that here a few months ago, where they just neglect it. So anyway, thanks for sharing that. Sorry for interrupting, Scott.
When you say units, is that buildings or like a 10-unit apartment? Is that 1 unit or 10 units?
I would say, I think we're more going towards buildings, or is how I would look at it. I think there's rare to have a 10-unit, to be honest.
We don't have a lot of those. I'm thinking in
with
other
that.
areas.
Except there's 8.
There's what?
There's 8.
There's 8, yeah.
There's 8.
Well, no, we have them. They're,
So if they own multiple things of those, I think that's where we would try to hit it. Let's say they had an 8-unit, a duplex, and then another random one. I think that's where we would try to get after them. I don't know of anyone who owns 5, 10 units or 8 units that I can think of, just because there are not that many of them overall.
more 4, 2, 4,
Yeah.
some 3s.
And actually, we don't seem to have as much problem on the 8 units and above. 8 units, some of them, we have a couple of issues, but above 8 units, not too bad.
Well, this it doesn't impact people that already have units, does it? Does the zoning code retroactive? Maybe that's a Mark Urick question. but-
This is in the Code of Ordinance, which becomes like a law, like it is retroactive.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's a look back, so organizations that are already here and already have over the 10 units, are they grandfathered in? Or
Yeah, we would be sending notices
Okay.
to them. Like American Homes for Rent. I mean, this is kind of, that's the biggest example.
No, no.
That's 80 plus, remember that, we had that in that report, how many they had. I mean, we'll be sending something to them. And that's where we did look, and I think legal has looked at this, that, this is something we can apply a little bit of pressure on outside landlords. I mean, it's very limited. Is it going to solve everything?
Right.
No.
Well, it's a lot less oppressive than what some cities are proposing, rent restrictions and things like that. So I think I don't know how you would manage more than a couple units being an absentee. You can't. I can speak, you just can't.
Yep.
And all the landlords that I'm familiar with that do a good job keeping up with their places are very, very active. What we've had in the last year is a lot of the older landlords who own multiple properties are selling those, they're aging out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're selling their, a couple of the attorneys in town have sold a lot of their properties, so you got new people now. But those are being bought, the ones that I'm aware of, by individuals and not mass groups, or a group. Investors are buying them for, so.
Well, this would be for individuals too, if anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, you're
So
not
you're
gonna
gonna get
have.
notice, you're gonna get notification.
Well, I live 30 minutes. I live 3 minutes.
He's the local agent.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking more that, you need a contact person, period. Irregardless of what else we do moving forward, less restrictive, more restrictive, you gotta have somebody that you can call, because that's always been my biggest frustration, is who do I contact? I talk to the tenant, and they just blame it on the landlord, and I don't know how to get hold of the landlord. So,
Good thing this is in here.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay, so on to the zoning code. So a bit of changes related to our use tables. So first one is make data centers and distribution centers conditional use based on their impact to the community. That means it at least would be out in a public notice and go before the planning commission. And it's not necessarily guaranteed as of right, where right now those uses are considered light industrial, so they're permitted as of right. Specifically allow hospitals and veterinary clinics in more business districts. For some reason, they were admitted in some things, and they make sense to be permitted in all business districts. Prohibit fast food in the mixed-use district, but allow fast casual. I think I added a definition for fast casual as well. Prohibit fuel service and vehicle sales or rental from a mixed-use district, and allow banquet halls in mixed-use districts. That just makes sense. And then change resort districts' uses to conditional use to provide more oversight. Any thoughts? So for residential standards, permit wood materials, including LP smart side and Everlast horizontal lap siding. So Everlast horizontal siding is what was just put on the cemetery house up there, and that has a sturdy, it's very sturdy. When we looked at it, I mean, it's almost like a plasticized, but it looks still very much like wood if you go up there. And then allow LP smart side. So a good example of that up on Carson, the new house that was an infill on Carson is that LP smart side. So if you're ever up there, that's a good one to check out. So with that, that kind of goes for that 75%. If they do that material, they're able to do, not do the first floor brick wrap. So for example, just for your review and for staff's clarification from this group, like that first house there would be as of right. So we are seeing where people are using this as an alternative to vinyl siding. So just want to make sure that's the intent of this body. We still do see, obviously, the first floor brick wrap, but we are seeing quite a few of this pop up as well. So allow front porches to extend 7 feet instead of 5 feet into the minimum required front yard. This would allow for more usable and better designed front porches.
That's great.
Yeah, that just makes sense. It's a usable. So a good example, it's setbacks 30 feet. This would now allow you to come up 7 feet to 23 feet into that front yard, but for a porch, which I think is something we're trying to encourage. For multi-family attached, restrict off-street parking in the front to no greater than 50% of the lot frontage and or front yard. This is similar to single and two-family properties. When we did this provision, that was our intent. It's just we need to include that multi-family thing because that's what we see as these paired patios. That's Summerlin Farms, or South Line Monroe Meadows on the left, which I think is more what we're going for, as opposed to Redwood on the right, that whole concrete, the whole thing's concrete when you go through that area. So allow in-ground swimming pools in the central business district for residential, subject to planning commission approval for front yard setback and location. This was actually an individual request that came in, and you can see their property on the left there. He's got a little koi pond and wants to make that into a pool. Another example across the street, you can see where there's a big side yard and a pool could easily go in there, especially an in-ground pool, which I think has a low visual impact. But currently, you can't have a pool at all in the central business district, which limits these folks. And then the ability to have it on the side provides you a little bit more flexibility in lot sizes that are a little different than your typical residential. And then trailers, allow an empty trailer in residential front driveways if it has a bed length no longer than 8 feet and side panels no higher than 30 inches. So Planning Commission actually recommended denial of this, just for, that's the only condition they had as part of this for your consideration. This came about, we've been kind of getting on people for having the trailers or RVs in the front or boats, and then this came in as a compromise potentially for staff. Are we going to go after even the smaller ones, or do we allow a little bit of flexibility for smaller trailers and focus on larger ones? So, but once again, Planning Commission recommended denial on that. Clarify suburban residential requirements to create a landscape entrance for new subdivisions. This is our provision that we had a minimum of 160-foot long boulevard entrance with a minimum of 100-foot open space on each side of the boulevard. I think our intent was to have that subdivision entrance, if you're going to be a rural area that's transitioning into a subdivision, to have that entryway feature. They took it as a literal interpretation of that 100 feet wide. And if you can see, the boulevard there is exactly 100 feet wide. And there's 2 lots now, and this was for Ray Rock. So they got us there, but in the future, clarify that 100 feet on either side so that those 2 lots go away and you have a true entryway to the subdivision. Small little knick-knack stuff here, but it does make a visual impact. Clarify that front yard fences must be decorative, iron, aluminum, or wood picket with a maximum individual picket width of 3.5 inches in the front. So this is on New Street, and it's small, but when I think of a picket fence, I think there's a certain look you have in your head of it about this wide or so. When it starts to get this wide, it kind of looks like you just took the panels, every other panel out from that. So this just clarifies that to the intent of a picket fence. And then prohibit wire fencing with temporary wood or metal stakes except for small gardens, which is not included. And then make the front yard standards in business districts the same as residential. Currently, they're allowed a 4-foot fence all the way to the sidewalk. And that's just running into issues. One came in, and then there's sightline issues that you run into with people pulling out and you can't see past the fence. So require new commercial developments to use bronze, black, or white trim frame for doors and windows. I think this has been really successful for Domino's. That gives it a nice look. Duncan was supposed to have it, and they ordered the wrong materials and came in with more of a gray one, but we really didn't have it in part of the zoning code, so technically we're allowed to do it. But I think this provision allows it to look a little more sophisticated. And then Planning Commission, let's say somehow gray or some other color looks perfect with the building, they have the ability to approve architectural modifications. And that's the same thing that goes with 75% masonry on all sides of the building. Right now we label it as right-of-way, like what's visible from the right-of-way. This has kind of left me with a little less negotiating room with folks for architectural details in the front. So this is saying 75% all the way around. Once again, Planning Commission can approve alternate designs. But a good example, like the apartments that are on Dave Avenue, the back portions of them are going to be pretty solid vinyl. And of course that didn't matter from the right of way, but now that the bike path is there, you know, that becomes a bit more of a visual impact. Oops. So recommendations and decisions on text amendments are based on the criteria. They're consistent with the policies of the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan, and the amendments address a demonstrated community need to clarify the codes and ensure efficient development within the city. So Planning Commission did recommend approval of both the text amendments for the Code of Ordinance and the subdivision regulations, and the text amendments for the zoning code, with the exception of the trailer. With that, I can take any questions.
I have a question for you. Fences, I think you and I have talked about this, but it's probably been a year or something. The chain link fences, because, you know, there's some areas where, like, you had mentioned in here, back a couple slides about the front yard, the front, but are chain link permissible? I mean, I thought that
Yeah,
they were.
so how we did it was a compromise. It's a little tough, we have to explain it to people sometimes, but you're not allowed chain link in the front. You're not allowed chain link on the side. In the rear, you can have chain link along the back of your property, but what you can visually see from the road, it cannot be chain link.
Okay, so
So
not-
kind of that 10 feet that is typically on either side of a property. So that visually, when you're driving down the street, you wouldn't even know, but it does affect the next door neighbors a little bit, but I think that was the compromise that this body came up with.
So if it's a property where the side yard is not visible from the street, is the chain link allowed there or not allowed there?
I think it is not, only in the rear,
Okay, only
rear
the
yard, yes,
Okay,
pretty sure.
okay.
And this is all, if they're there, it's okay. There's still a
Correct.
lot of neighborhoods that have
Yes.
chain link up.
Yeah.
Anything built in the 50s has chain link.
Yeah, now we are kind of here and there. I mean, if it's really bad, we are giving property maintenance violations. If it's a completely rusty fence that's falling down. A good example on Columbus Avenue is it changes from Warren into Columbus along the side. There, right before you get to Mound, there was a house that had a chain link fence and they took it down. It's a rental, I think. Took it down, it looks much better without it.
Can you explain, so on the trailer issue, you're asking that they did okay, the compromise was allowing 8-foot trailers, or they don't want any trailers?
Planning Commission did not want any trailers.
But we don't have to agree with that, right?
No, it's a recommendation. It's recommendations. Yep.
For 8-foot trailers.
Yes, for you to.
And there's already a policy for RVs and boats and things in place?
Correct. Currently, you're not allowed anything in more than 72 hours.
Okay, so someone who has like a small landscape business and was pulling it into park at night and leaving it, is that considered storing? Or when does the clock start on 72 hours? Is it continual or?
Yes, I mean, we try to have it continual. Yeah, I mean, if it's a repeat, just moving it an inch or two, kind of,
I'm just saying there's a lot of second jobbers that have those little 8-footers,
Yes,
me included. I mean, that, I don't park it at my house though, but sometimes I do. And I would think if it's moved, like if it's for work, not just storage with a blue tarp on it, trying to think that one through a little bit. Because those are very utility more than anything. If it gets much bigger than 8-footer, you're doing something with it.
yeah.
And I know entire subdivisions have those trucks and trailers with platforms and drywall scaffolding and, they sit out on the street. So this would just be for the driveway. I can
Yeah,
still
just for
pull
the
in.
driveway.
Okay.
And I think it does say empty for it.
Okay.
And
But we-
HOAs could still decide they don't want them at all, even if we allow them. HOAs can
Yeah,
still say,
that would
not
take care
in
of
here.
most of the neighborhoods then if that was an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, because like on ours, it said no, and we always tell people that it's, because people get so confused about that. So what we always tell them with the neighborhood is, city is baseline and we can add to it.
Yeah.
But we can't take away from it.
Right.
And so that was always what we did. I think one of my concerns, as a family, having many family members who do work that involves trailers, I respect the work, but I know what you see happens a lot of times, and like you can say, oh, well, okay, it can be empty. Well, okay, maybe I'm gonna throw a little bit on there, and it's one of those things where sometimes it's easier to say, okay, no, not at all, and then also when you're going through and you're looking for violations and things like that, it's easier for you to see, okay, that's there, it's obvious. Whereas sometimes you give an inch, people wanna maybe kind of push push the envelope a little bit with it and, you know, well, maybe I'll have some stuff on there and it won't be such a big deal, that sort of thing. So, I mean, I guess that's the question of, you know, what are we looking for? Do we?
And then my
do we want that or
my
not?
main issue was, are we gonna make John jump out of the car and like measure this with a laser? I mean.
And look and peek in.
This becomes a larger issue than just, is that 8 foot, is that 10 foot?
Yeah.
Is that 12? Where are we
So
at?
in your opinion, you would prefer none?
That's what, yeah, I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as his work is concerned too, it's easier just to be like, okay, they're not there at all.
Yeah.
You know, and as we said, there are a lot of neighborhoods where that's already the case. So there's a lot of people who already aren't supposed to, so it would affect a smaller number of people.
So if I have a couch in my trailer, that's okay, because it's not an empty trailer? It's 8 feet, I got a riding mower and a piece of furniture in there. I'm more comfortable with empty trailers. That picture there on the right, that doesn't bother me at all. But I don't want it loaded with sand and a cement mixer sitting there. I'd rather not see, I'd rather, where it says allow an empty trailer reservoir if it is a bed. So you're saying an empty trailer is okay, but what about, where does a trailer with something in it fall in place?
Yeah, that's where that 30 inches kind of comes in.
Okay.
I mean, if it had side panels on it that were
Okay,
up to
so
30
an empty
inches and you
trailer is
had
fine.
on there, yeah, or up to 30 inches and you can't see it from
Right.
the roadway with it. If it's
Okay.
stacked with stuff
I'm just figuring, I'm
Pallets
trying to
are
figure it out,
sitting-
everybody else is too, so.
sitting next to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
So now we have time for public comment. If
Is this
anybody-
just a first reading? Or after?
We're in a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
So we have time for public comment. If anybody would like to speak to these changes, you got 3 minutes, please come to the lectern. All right, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Very good, thank you. So moving to previous business, ordinance number 2026-006, approving a map amendment request to rezone 105 acres of property located adjacent to the I-71 and bypass 48 interchange as recommended by the Commission.
This ordinance approves a map amendment to rezone 105 acres located along State Route 48 and Nelson Avenue from the current zoning of general commercial to a mixed-use PUD. This rezoning will support an innovation development pattern consistent with the envisioned Lebanon comprehensive plan for the area.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers,
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes. New business, resolution 2026-010, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with the Warren County Engineers Office for the purchase of road salt for the 2026-2027 winter season.
This resolution approves the city's continued participation in the Warren County Engineers Office road salt purchasing program to support salt needs during 2026-2027 snow response season.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Based on this year, are we dipping into next year's supply? Is
Not
this-
yet, no. I'll try to I will get an update on how much we've gone through. Obviously, it's been a heavy salt year for us so far, but no, we go into each winter season with about 3,000 tons on hand in the salt storage area, so we were well prepared.
What is a normal, just out of curiosity, like, what's a normal year's use?
I would say it varies between 1,500 to 2,000 tons of salt roughly.
So 3,000 is more
So
than.
we usually stock enough to get us through the season and going into it, yeah.
And I want to be, I just had a conversation today with the companies that manage facilities that I work with, and they have been cut off from their salt suppliers. So and it has a lot to do with usage last year, has bled into streams this year. I mean, they are going to Chicago in Baltimore to get salt because snowfall in Chicago has actually been less, and so there's some available. But they are cut off, all small suppliers are cut off, so I guess municipalities are taking priority. So
Interesting, yeah.
what we need for next year, we need to, the shortage right now is going to bleed in next year.
We were contacted by the Warren County Career Center because they are in that situation, so I think we're going to sell them, a little bit of our salt just to kind of help out, but they were struggling in getting salt for their facility needs.
Yeah.
Scott, do we mix anything with that, like grit or cinders?
No, we did, we'll pre-treat, we'll do kind of a pre-treatment spray, but we don't mix, it's straight road salt.
Do you do that, do we do that like with our own equipment, like
Yes.
create the brine, we just
Yeah, we have those
slush it up somehow?
capabilities, yeah, so, yeah.
I just know some of the western states will do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've done that.
South of Louisville, they all use sand.
We've never done that
Yeah,
yet.
we gotta do it on the rock.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Cope?
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers?
Yes.
Mrs. Harper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Sellers?
Yes.
Mayor Messer?
Yes.
Mr. Lamro?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2026-011, amending chapters of the codified ordinances and the official zoning code as recommended by Planning Commission.
This ordinance approves the amendment to the subdivision regulations and miscellaneous zoning code text amendments that were the subject of the public hearing tonight.
Can I get a first read?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion items, city manager report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. City offices will be closed on Monday for President's Day, so the council work session next week will be on a Wednesday, February 18th at 7 p.m. here in these chambers. Do want to remind folks that there is the Fairgrounds Master Plan kind of public open house meeting this Thursday at 6 p.m. up at the Fairgrounds Event Center. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good.
And I just want to confirm that, because there was discussion of possibly,
It is scheduled for.
it is for sure.
2 days, yeah.
So we have executive session tonight. So we will have council items and then be read into executive session. Then post-executive session, we will be taking no further action. So Mr. Sellers, what do you got for us?
I don't have anything.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Norris?
Oh, nothing.
Mr. Cope?
Yeah,
Clean sweep.
Well, I had something, Mr. Cope, but I decided.
well, I know I appreciate seeing some related ag society member folks here. And to see that a lot of the accusations that have been floating around has been a bit upsetting. And a lot of the misinformation that's been floating around. And also, I feel empathy for the Ag Society because, number one, it's hard to be on a board that functions well, and then it's really hard to be on a board that doesn't function well. So I understand, especially with the pressures and the division that's going on the board right now. So I know I have empathy, but it still doesn't. It doesn't somewhat excuse some of the things that I hear that are accusing the city of blackmailing the Ag Society over code violations, things along that line. Just, I don't think that's smart leadership to have comments like that made. I went to the Ag Society meeting and sat in the back for about 75% of it and decided I better leave because if someone says, oh, that's a city council guy, I might get strung up. So I wasn't there for the vote where the lease was rejected. But some of the comments, there's just I know there's a lot of emotion and stuff going on, but man, leadership has to stand up because that's why you're on the boards, to make sure that information that's being presented is as accurate as possible. Some of those comments about how the city's being dishonest are just not accurate. I'm not on social media a lot, but what I've seen attacking Mr. Bronca and city staff is horrible. This city has some of the best, and I'm serious, I deal with city staff around the state, and we have maybe arguably the best city staff, best city manager that maybe Lebanon's ever had. We run things above board. We don't do things, like that has been attributed to a lot of, early conversations and things that are being just attributed to almost nefarious type actions. It's just not accurate. It's not true. People need to understand that Ag Society is dysfunctional right now. They don't do things that are required by law, submit their financial statements. We have a ton of violations out there, and I don't know what people think the city should do. We just had text amendments that talk about citing and code enforcement. It's what the residents expect of us giving decisions and direction to city staff. So, and probably been too passive about what goes on out at the fairgrounds. There are barns that you cannot go into, or that, I should say, barns that animals, they're not fit for animals, and so they're shut down. I mean, that's a fact. So, and that's not the city, that's things that have developed over decades. The county fairgrounds are in disrepair. The Ag Society is struggling financially. A lot of the early conversations, I actually asked Mr. Bronco, I was like, how do we even get involved in this? To especially be having all this blame deflected towards the city. So I asked. A lot of the early violations from 23, 22, 23, 24, 25, all the way up to being cited for the horsemen having manure going into the storm sewers and the county citing them. The county came and had a working group and asked the city to get involved to help solve it. And so when there's been some comments made on social media that, the city was planning to try to buy this and, this is all just a well-laid plan. So I asked, I'm like, how did we get here? Because it wasn't until March of 25 that it first came to the board's attention to even consider purchasing the property. So that's just of 25. Leading up to all that were just conversations between responsible county, Ag Society, eventually horsemen, leadership meeting, and people say, oh, behind closed doors. Well, you know what? If anyone has been in any level of management or executive situation, you get a small group together when you're trying to solve problems. And that's what was going on. And so when I asked, Mr. Bronco was like, well, why wasn't the city council informed? It was just working sessions. He was like, I wasn't taking the lead. The city wasn't taking the lead. We were there helping, trying to solve problems and figure it out. Not to put words in your mouth, but I believe that's the way he explained it. I was like, okay. So that went on for months and months and months. I think in a responsible manner as the team, that working group was trying to figure out how to deal with the financial problems, just all the issues. So some of that narrative is pretty frustrating to see that. And I know lawyers are involved now. We're going to argue about what Ohio Revised Code says about whether the county can sell it. I know my commitment has been, I've said it time and time again, and I think I can speak for everybody. Our goal is to set up financially viable means so that Ag Society, the 4-H program, we can protect them, the horsemen can operate so that we can have this gym in the middle of our city continue. And so yes, Mr. Mayor, it may be frustrating for me to take time.
No, I love it.
But man, it is.
I got to go back to Mr. Norris next.
Yeah, it has been very frustrating because of things said. I think there needs to be some responsible comments by the ag leadership, and it's split 5 to 6. So let's hope that some cooler heads kind of talk about this in the bigger picture, and not let just the city take the shotgun effect here, man. You talk about salt, it's like a salt shot, boom, right? We're getting peppered, and that's frustrating because I know my intentions have been to figure out how to help the situation. That's why we put our money where our mouth is, and put together a master planning group before we even own the property. It's like, okay, you guys did good work in all those early conversations. Okay, so we took that and had open stakeholder meetings, all right? I don't even know if we should do this meeting this coming week because the open house. I mean, I guess we need to talk about it because I think we almost need to go to the 4-H group and have a working, like an open session, a public meeting where we can hear people air it out and ask us questions directly, something where there can be dialogue, because the amount of misinformation that's going on right now is crazy. It's frustrating. I know my commitment, what my commitment is, and I think, I mean, heck, you said, Mr. Lammer, you were in 4-H for 10, 11 years. Like your heart's there, and people don't see that. We don't really get to express it. So it's frustrating.
I target, and I ride a bunch of farms, and I own a second business called the Sport Horse Insurance Group. And I have 15 to 20% of my people, I'd have to do the math, but it's after 5 and I don't want to. I have a handful of people in my office that's all they do is go after farms, specifically horse farms. Full disclosure, I have nothing to do with the Harness Association, not by choice. It's just that doors opened up to where we're in Lexington, Kentucky, and Fort Worth, Texas, and Wilmington. So, yes, I want it to succeed.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said, Mike, because I've been feeling a lot of that same. And obviously, in the future, we'll be able to say more things. And people say, why is it going to public? Why aren't you saying this? Why aren't you saying that? Well, part of contract negotiation is that it should be confidential. And we're respecting that. And that's part of why some of that information isn't public. But unfortunately, as you said, we're taking the heat. And it's very disconcerting because there are 4 entities involved, and we're just one of them. But you will see the most negative about us. And the sad part about that is we've lost sleep, we've spent a lot of time, we've spent a lot of money, and I'm with you. Scott has been absolutely amazing in the way that he has handled things. If you were here at our infrastructure meeting, you would have seen that was an opportunity for people to learn about roads, projects, developments, the fairgrounds, and he's up here taking the heat for all kinds of things. But he's just doing his job, and he does a great job at it, and so do our other staff. We had our, individuals who are working with our electric department, our road department, or engineering, sorry, and they're getting, all these comments, and it's hard for us because we see them as such valuable members of the city, and they are what makes this go, and they represent us well, and we're just up here, we vote on these things, but they're doing the work day in and day out. And so when we sit in those meetings and we hear those things, it feels very sad to us. And you see the comments of city council just wants this because they're in it for the money. If you come up with a way that we're going to make money personally from the fairgrounds, let me know. My kids love to eat. I mean, this kind of stuff is just so far-fetched. And we have tried to be as transparent as possible. We, the city, are the ones having the stakeholders meeting. We hosted that. Scott did that. He set that up. He contacted the consultants, brought them in. We, the city, brought in those stakeholders, people from the township and the Ag Society and Horsemen. And if I'm missing anybody, let me know. But lots of individuals. Those were awesome meetings. I even sat there and thought, this is the coolest thing. There is this amazing property, like you said, it's a gem in the middle of the city, and we get to sit here and have these conversations with all these people. This is cool. We are talking about what we're going to do and how we're going to make this beautiful area of our city even better than it is now. And we're able to get this input and have this session where everybody at every level, no matter how they felt about the situation, was able to give their input to us and to each other and to come up with that. And I thought it was pretty awesome. And, we're sitting over here with a smile and thinking, yay, we're doing something good. Here, these organizations come to us and say, hey, everything's going bad over here, please help us. And we say, hey, we're happy to do that. We're going to come alongside you. We're going to see what we can do for you. And to be honest, it's like a slap in the face. And I'm really disappointed to see that. And I believe that most of it is based on people not getting information and just kind of filling in the gaps. It's not really based on people having the factual information and then making that decision. And if you have the facts and you're still upset with us, go right on ahead. But I would just ask that people consider getting those facts here in the future, because we are not at liberty to actually even state all those facts, because like I said, we are one of 4 entities. And all that information does not belong to us for us to produce that, and we can't say it. So I'm with Mike. I'm backing up Scott and our staff who have poured their heart and souls into it, and I can say that we on council have, and our intentions were to protect the fair, to protect the kids, to protect all of the entities, the horsemen, all those entities up there who are already there, not to take away from them, but to shine things up, make it a better place for them to be, make it a better place for our community to go and to visit year-round, because, you know, people dabble in and out of there. And so I just hope that in the future, when people have the opportunity to see the truth and are exposed to more information that will be, you know, hopefully available in the coming weeks or months, you know, whenever that's possible, that they will really take the time to reevaluate it and make their decisions based on the full picture rather than just these little bits of information and the things that people have come up with thus far. And I'm proud of our staff, I'm proud of council, I'm proud of the time and the effort and the interest that has gone into it, and to the individuals who really have taken the time to look at the full picture and to come to those stakeholder meetings with us and to really look at this and say, how can we all work together? Because no matter what happens going forward, I think that part was awesome, and I hope that, you know, if this situation does not look positive in the future, that maybe we have another situation, like our master planning that we want to redo for the city in that way. I think that's awesome. It's such a great avenue for us to get together and actually hear from our citizens. So I hope we can do more things like that in the future, regardless of the outcome here.
Well, I won't be at Thursday's meeting, so I brought pictures, because, you know, pictures worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to give these to Scott. He may use them Thursday, but this is 14-year-old Jen Harper with her steer at the county fair.
At this county fair?
No, Carroll County,
Okay.
Eastern Ohio. 15-year-old Jen Harper with her steer at the county fair. 16-year-old Jen Harper. So I showed horses before that. That didn't go very well. So we're going to keep the fair. I mean, I'm just black and white. Like, it's silly, ridiculous. There's not anybody up here that wants to get rid of the fair. I would protect it with my dead body. So that's really all I've got.
Thank you. Go for it.
Small.
Before you start, I would like to add that the city supports the Ag Society, and just in the last 2 years, there are civic donations to the tune of $26,000.
Yeah.
So we, like I said, we put money where our mouth is. We support what is going on there, and that's all. Thank you.
I didn't know how much we were going to talk about this tonight, and especially at the meeting on Thursday. I felt we should have the meeting. I didn't want it to look like the city was changing their mind or having a bullied out or something like that. So I supported having that meeting. Just the things that I wanted to say really builds on what you guys said as well, is the misinformation that is out there that people take as verbatim and take as the gospel truth. And in my study of people, which was my entire career, it doesn't take a lot to change a person's mind, and then that becomes a belief system. The more you hear it, then it becomes an entire story and it becomes truth. You can see that in a case where, I remember, I forgot what it's called, it's a phenomenon where you have 4 kids, 3 of them went to Disneyland, the 4th never did. They may not have even been born, but they heard the other 3 talking about it so much, it became their story, and they would talk about them going to Disneyland, and they never even been there. And that's kind of what's going on now, is there's so much talk. And a couple things that have just lasered in my brain was something that came out on social media a couple of days ago from, I think it was Channel 19, and the big headline stated the Agricultural Society turns down plan to buy the fairgrounds. And I'm like, they're tenants. They don't even have a. So that was a news reporter. So that became somebody's gospel truth that's now talked about over and over in comments about that. Go Agricultural Society. you know, we're glad you didn't, you know, you turned down that offer to buy. Well, that was never presented to buy. Well, I was gonna say they're leasing, but I don't know really what they are up there, apparently. So and then at a meeting before this one, someone asked me, how do you, because three of us were talking about the fairground situation, and she said, how do you get truth out there? How do you put it back in the bag? And I just made a comment. I said, you know, it's easy to spill paint, and it's hard to get it back in the can. And if anyone's ever spilled a gallon of paint, it goes everywhere. And I said, right now, I really don't know. I want people to want to listen. I want them to come Thursday and see really what we want to do up there, and be excited for it. Not, you know, have this feeling that we're running the fair off or we're doing this and that. None of that. And my co-counsel down next to me has already said all that. That's never our intention. It's been a part of my life, not in 4-H, but just I have memories of my own family and the times that we spent there, and coming in on a Friday to the Midway was so exciting. So there hasn't been. I can pledge that, and my wife knows. I never promise because I don't want to be a liar. But I can promise not one person at this table has ever talked about getting rid of the fair, ever. And that's why we are fighting to keep the fair in a better situation, and really want people to get behind it. And please don't go to non-informed for answers. Come to someone up here as the city who can explain. Go to the commissioners and ask them, you know, straight on what, you know, if you've got a question about it. They own the land. They have it right now. It's their land. So, but if you're getting your information, I've said this the 4+ years I've been on council, Facebook is not a place to get your information. It's a place to maybe read what's going on around or see your friend's dinner they had, but it's not a place to get information about something as big as a multi-million-dollar purchase that affects 94 acres in the middle of our town. So I would appreciate just people coming, being a part of our meetings, talking to us. This room should have been filled tonight. I mean, the town knew we were going to be, they knew that's the hot topic in Lebanon. I mean, I can't get anywhere, because working in town without someone stopping me in Home Depot or some of my other locations. They want to know about what's going on with fairgrounds. And but here we sit with our usuals and faithfuls that come and to want to know. So I encourage Lebanon to please come talk to us. Come Thursday. You'll have an opportunity to see what we want to put, our vision, not ours, because how many's on that 22?
There's over 20. Yeah.
Over 20 from all over Lebanon in different facets and different
And county, not just
and county, yes, because Tammy's from, she's Starbuck Township, I think, so. We have ag people, horseman people, city people. It's an opportunity to see who's been driving this and get your input out there. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, man.
I promise not to regurgitate everything that was said.
You're good.
So, I think a frustration of mine is that sometimes people who know the least know it the loudest. In Facebook, I had an uncle that he's passed away, he said, Facebook is the bathroom wall of the world. Because anybody with an opinion can throw it up there, right, wrong, and different, and there's no consequences. And it's really, really frustrating. It's really frustrating. To my knowledge, we're the only ones that's come to the table with a solution, a viable solution. And kudos to staff, you guys have busted your tail and given us different ideas, and we've spent hours on this trying to make this to work. I've already ranted on what I do for business. My mom and dad live on a family farm that's been in our family since the 1880s or 1890s. So the farming community is near and dear to me, and that's not counting uncles and grandparents and so on and so forth. We want this to work. We're willing to deal with reasonable people. I don't know how else to say it, and I'll just stop there before I get myself in trouble. Mr. York's not here though, so okay. So thank you, Mayor.
Well, I mean, again,
Back to you.
same thing. I didn't know how much we were going to talk about it initially, and I'm also not going to repeat everything that's already been said. I can't say it half as good as the people before me that's brought it up. But just in short, it's, you know, staff in this council from the very, very beginning, you know, our intention was to make this the crown jewel of not only Lebanon but of the county. Our goal was to improve and better the fairgrounds, not the property, but the fairgrounds. Again, from the very, very beginning, and the frustrating part, I think, as everybody has mentioned previously, is the misinformation that comes up. We have these town halls, every single one of us, including staff, everyone on this council is more than willing to answer any and every single question that comes our way about it. But nobody is coming up and asking these questions other than on social media. They're going back and forth in social media, but nobody is having this conversation with anybody on the staff. Nobody's having these conversations with anybody on council. So it is frustrating because there is so much misinformation, and the city has been portrayed as the villain when, as Mr. Lamoureux said, we're trying to find solutions, and from the very, very beginning, it was brought to us to help find solutions. We didn't seek it. It was initially brought to us to help out and see if we can find the solution. So that's as far as I'll go.
So I'm going to start by saying, what is black and white? What is black and white, to use your words, is that we are fully committed to keeping the fair, and we are fully committed to growing the 4-H program. And we want a beautiful site, we want a safe site, and we want a memorable site. This has never been about anything else but using 94 acres in the center of our city to its best use. Every time we go and we look at acreage, from our solar panels, from our townhomes, every time we look at land, we always look for the highest and best use. And this, I can tell you, is not the highest and best use if it coming to making money for people, but this is the highest and best use for the quality of life for our citizens.
Absolutely.
The county could sell this property and they could build townhomes and a strip mall, and I guarantee you they'd make a lot more money. And it would also bring the city more revenue. But we believe not only in the ag society, we believe in the 4-H program, we believe in the junior fair, and what that does for the quality of life for our community. So the absolute nonsense that I hear from people, it's hard for me to like wrap my head around it. The blackmail comments, I don't even understand what that means. These code violations have gone back to 2021, and are we just going to ignore the fact that we've had barns completely burned down, killing people and horses? This is not some we're not just throwing out red meat to people. I mean, this place is dilapidated, and this model is broken, and there is no saving it. We have been insulted, our motives have been impugned, and then in the same week, they come back and ask us for money. It's madness. It's madness. And I sent an email to some of the people on the board. I was like, I want to be able to work with people who want to work with us in good faith. It should not be that hard. We have been upfront. We have been so clear that it's almost like we've been so open that people are like, there's no way these people can be telling the truth. We've been there from day one. We were there before the Horseman Association even existed. We've worked through hours and hours of negotiations, talking about terms, like who's going to be able to use the tractors. These are the things that we've been talking about, and how these transfers of money and space are going to work. And it was all because we believe in that property and what it's been used for the past 100 years. So I appreciate everybody's comments. I think there's a lot of emotion on this side. I think there's just as much emotion on this side as there is on the Ag Society. And the issue is that we're not out there throwing insults at the Ag Society in a public forum. And I would appreciate it if everybody would step up and be the leaders you were elected to be, and come to us and speak to us in good faith. And I appreciate there is a strong minority on that board who has done that. And I appreciate the way that they have acted and conducted themselves. So I will stop my monologue at this point. But there's going to be more to come. I think once the community understands the timeline is very important. I mean, we could take 15 minutes talking the timeline. Once the community understands the actual inner workings of the financials of the Ag Society, that's going to be a whole nother topic. The city has presented multiple ways for the Ag Society to be successful, and we want to be part of their success. So, if you have who's reading us into executive?
Oh, very good.
I can do it. Going into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purpose or the sale of property at a competitive bidding if the premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest. In G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action.
Can I get a motion?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Sellers?
Yes.
Mayor Messer?
Yes.
Mr. Lamro?
Yes.
Mr. Cope?
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers?
Yes.
Mrs. Harper?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us and indulging us in our exposés. We will see you next week.